Welcome to Let's Write This Movie, where we write a screenplay
while sharing the process with the internet.
I am your screenwriter, René Garcia.
And I'm your collaborator, Brian Glass.
Now, let's write this movie. Drink, Brian, drink. Today's Judgment Night again, Brian.
Seems like it's a never-ending slew of judgments for you, Renee.
Yeah, well, I'm used to rejection, so if I don't make the cut, then that is par for the course in the totality of my life.
Is there any...
anything I've succeeded at? No.
Is there any indication in terms of like how many people submitted scripts?
No. I mean, here's my thing. I thought about that as well. I felt like... See, when I submitted last time and I was a finalist for the sci-fi and fantasy contest,
yeah,
the quarterfinalists, they narrowed it down to 250, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had to assume they got a lot of submissions. And then they narrowed it down for the semi-finalists, I think, to 50. And then they narrowed it down to 10 for the finalists.
Right.
So in this case, it was narrowed down to 85 at quarterfinalists. Who knows? Maybe horror just isn't as popular as sci-fi and fantasy, or because sci-fi and fantasy are essentially two categories mixed into one. Maybe that's why they're able to get I assume a bigger amount of submissions.
I don't know, man. Horror's a pretty big deal right now.
I know horror is like it's everything, right? Like horror it's easy to produce. It's low budget, easy to write. And, translates across the world, across cultures. Right. So, I have no idea. Maybe they're just, maybe it's a new format for them. Maybe they decided, you know what, from, at quarterfinalists, we're just weeding out, we're not even reading the scripts, to be honest. We're reading, well, let me just say this. Let me just say this, Brian. I used to be, as a side gig. Yeah. I used to be an essay reader. So... you have these groups, literary foundations, whatever it is. I don't know. They have essay contests for high schoolers, right? Or maybe even college level. And then if you win the essay contest, you get whatever the prize is, a scholarship or something. So you have high schoolers from around the country, submitting essays. As an essay reader, you're not going to read. Even if you get 100... right? Out of, let's say there are 10,000 submissions and you, at just one essay reader, you're assigned 100. You're not really going to read 100 5-page essays.
I imagine if it was me, I would read until I was sufficiently annoyed. No. I mean, that may be 2 sentences in, or maybe 4 pages.
Well, so what I was advised to do, and I'm sorry I'm dispelling some of the illusions that you high schoolers who may be watching might have. What happens is, we read the intro paragraph or the intro paragraph and then the conclusion. And if there's something there, okay, well, that seems to be well constructed, then we'll go into the body and see if it follows.
Yeah, if they prove everything they're saying.
Yeah. So, and these are not even 5-page essays, really. I mean, these are maybe 2-3 pages at that, the ones that I read anyway. Yeah. But, man, you're reading a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's probably similar for this kind of competition. I mean, how many script readers do they have on staff for these competitions? Maybe 7, right? If that. I don't know. Yeah. I'm pulling this out of the ether here.
1.
But, these scripts, you look at my script, 120 pages. I know it's not across full width text. Fine. Yeah. Okay. But still, I mean, 2 hours to read a script, let's say. You're going to invest that much time?
Yeah, they're going to read the first line and the ending. Yeah, okay, well, I can see that's something interesting.
Pretty much.
Go ahead and see how the whole thing went.
Yeah.
I agree. I have a feeling that there are just some that, you can't follow. I've read things from other people that were pretty bad, and immediately that this person does not have what it takes to make something cohesive, and there's really no point in going on at that point.
Yeah. Precisely.
It could be like the first rejected list. Oh, cool. I made that list. You know,
The first rejected list. What does that mean?
the worst of the worst.
Oh, yeah, no, you never
This is
want
just
to be.
so bad. We got to put it online. We're going to put it online for free. Can someone fix this? That's the next challenge. Who can punch this up? That'd be a cool challenge.
Yeah.
Just taking something that's horrible.
I love it. Oh, no, that's awesome.
Good news is I kept a character name. Everything else had to go.
I mean, can you imagine, like, I would like to see that as a competition, from this group, from Stage 32, the script doctor competition. Because let's be honest, a lot of your assignment, or a lot of the work you're going to be getting, especially early on, are probably going to be assignments like that.
Yeah. Why don't we launch that right now? We'll launch our own competition.
Well, but we can't. What would the prize be? At the really.
Someone can join us live via Skype during one of our recordings. They can sit in either in California or in Arizona if they want.
Or wherever they are, because they'll just be another participant on our stream.
No, I'm saying there could be someone who actually comes and visits.
No, I don't want that. I don't want that, Brian.
Arizona then.
All right. Well, enough of the banter, Brian. Let's find out how badly I lost. Okay, let's pull up the website. Here we are. Scrolling down to winners.
Scrolling.
So, semi-finalist, and that would be now, and that I'm still in it. I'm still in it, everybody.
Congratulations,
Epitaph. My name is still jacked up. Wow. Next to El Kokoi and Hag.
I think it's pronounced Hag.
All right, let's get back to me.
Congratulations, man.
I don't know what that was. What was that thing you sent me?
You got to look at the picture.
Oh, I have to look at the picture. Okay, hang on.
Look at it. You can look at it live.
We're going to look at it now.
Yeah, it's good.
Live reaction. What is this? Yes. Yes, I love it. When did you make that? Just now while we were talking?
No, I made it about an hour and a half ago when I saw the results.
Oh, look at you. I really didn't
53.
think you looked at it. That was excellent acting, Brian. I will cast you.
You are one of 53 semi-finalists.
Wait a second, 53? What? That's all they narrowed it down by 32? 33?
It's another cut, dude.
What?
The big one's coming next. Yeah, that's another cut. The big one's coming next.
Chop us down to 10? How did 53?
What happened is,
tell me.
They had 50, and then someone made a play. I really think we got to give this one a chance. 3 people got in.
Yeah, golden
buzzer.
But
they have no chance of getting to the top 10, so just cut them. You know what I mean?
Saying. That is what I'm saying. Unless it's me. Unless I was one of the 3, in which case, thank you, golden buzzer judges.
There you go.
I was really expecting to be cut. But now that I see it's only 30 people that got cut, I guess, had I known that coming into this round, I don't think I would have been that trepidatious.
Trepidatious.
It's good, Brian. Excellent.
So you said last time that when they cut down to semi, was it 20, 25?
I think it was 50. From 250 to 50.
All right, it's about the same. They just didn't have the first. They just had a horribly severe first cut, maybe. 84 people.
Okay.
And they kept 83.
All right. Oh, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. Well, dude. Yeah. The big one, man. That's the one. Down to 10, assuming it's going to be 10.
Yeah.
Watch, it's going to just be down to 30. Finalists, 30.
Hey, man, as long as there are 25 winners, that's fine.
Dude, I would love that.
25 people. We're going to fly to Los Angeles.
Exactly. Meet with these producers. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. But that's what they're going to do. All right. Where's this guy located? L.A.? Okay.
He wins.
Top 10. Finalist.
Geographical advantage.
So, I'm being cynical here, but if I was a person who was running this and I would have to spend that kind of money to fly people in, that might be a consideration.
No.
Might be.
Airline's not that expensive anymore, man.
Oh, it's going to be Spirit Airlines, where you're standing, leaning on a bicycle seat, basically.
Spared no expense. I wonder, is this an international competition? Or is it just U.S.? I wonder.
I don't think there was a... I don't remember seeing a proviso that you had to be in the United States. What I'm waiting for...
Maybe then you have a point. That's going to be a costly ticket.
Possibly. Just to continue joking about airlines, I'm waiting for the point where they attach seats underneath the plane, and it's like Cyclone at Magic Mountain, where you're just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that ride you were telling me about, how your feet are just dangling.
Yes.
You're flying at 600 miles an hour.
Oh, it'd be great.
Dude. Yeah, and cold. A little chilly.
You get like a used visor, Like,
exactly. I think that's going to be the next screenplay, Brian.
Speaking of the next screenplay,
that would actually be a funny...
Before we do,
okay,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that would be a funny, like a horror comedy, like Airplane Torture or whatever,
right.
And it's just like airline execs and engineers, like it's almost like Jigsaw, but these people have to travel, right?
Yeah, I don't know Jigsaw. I don't watch. Saw, right?
Saw, yeah, the Saw movies. Where these people are just devising more ways to be efficient and save like a penny. That'd be hilarious to watch. Anyway, I'm gonna noodle on that for next year's horror screenplay contest.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Brian?
Oh, I was just you mentioned that earlier that horror is easy to make, low budget.
Mm-hmm.
I would add that the number of sequels now are kind of amazing. Like, I think I just saw, is it Paranormal? That's a series, right? Paranormal
Activity?
I don't know, one of those things. I don't follow it too closely, but It was like number 7.
Is it straight to video? Because I haven't seen any. Oh,
like, really?
All right. Well, I know they're making another Scream.
Yeah,
that's in production.
That. Yeah.
But yeah, this is the way it is now, Brian.
I actually like the Scream movies.
I've never seen one.
I mean, at least they're kind of fun and self-referential and meta, and at least there's something interesting in there for someone like me. But if it's just straight horror, I don't really care for it too much.
All right,
that's me.
I get it. No, that's fine. I mean, here's my thing. I will enjoy any genre as long as the story is good. If it's straight up just like human butchery or whatever, then it's just not so much that it offends me, just that I feel like, am I wasting my time? Like, there's so much entertainment out there. I would rather do that instead.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the first thing you said is if it's something that entertains you. I mean, there's not a lot of story to something like that.
Right.
Ways we can kill someone. I would say that my exception to that, and it's one of those guilty pleasures. I don't think I've seen every one, but the Final Destinations.
Okay. I haven't seen
they're
any
like
of those.
They're just like silly. They're super silly. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like over the top. And what is that? Is it Rube Goldberg? Is that the one? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's like that. It's watching a horror version of that. How's it going to end? We know it's going to end. How are they going to get there? And yeah, I always thought that they're kind of fun. But those are my half screeners. Those aren't like, you can't get full attention on one of those.
This is a inchoate idea, but I had the screenplay concept a long time ago. We'll say a decade plus ago, about a guy or a person, but it started off as a guy who could essentially manipulate people by the expression on his face. So as this guy's talking to you, I mean, he wasn't like born with this power, like he studied, like he read some book, and he practiced. and he could essentially get you to do things for him or behave a certain way because of the expression he made. And this is a ripoff of a comic book character named Psycho Pirate. I think it's a DC comic book character, and I don't think he's very popular. I only know of him from one issue that I picked up a long time ago, like back in the 80s. Anyway, I don't know much about the character. I only know what I got from this comic book. So any fans out there, aficionados who want to correct me, that's fine. But anyway, he wears this like flat, expressionless mask, but he can make an expression, like he'll basically adjust his face and take off the mask, and like if his face is like joy or whatever, he'll make you feel joy. Mm-hmm. Right? That kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, so this guy in our story, he develops his power, and because it's almost like a superpower, he gets people to do like unethical things, right? And he just feels like, yeah, this is awesome, right? But then something happens, we'll say midway through the movie, that he has a change of heart, and he starts to try to like use his power for good, and then maybe correct the behavior of certain people that he affected, right? But at the end of the movie, he forgets that he convinced someone to kill another person, and this is like a vital person in his life, and maybe a romantic interest. And when he thinks like everything is going great, this person from the beginning of the movie comes along and kills this person in front of him. And that's how it ends, essentially. I mean, there's probably a little more denouement, but I don't know. That was just the idea.
Yeah, I like that. You have a lot of fun endings, don't you?
Well, I mean, it's like, I don't want something that's just normal. That's just, it's like you expect it. No, right. You don't want that. You want to leave, and you want to tell people like, oh man, you gotta watch this movie. You want something that audiences want to share with other people, and it's so rare that we experience that now. How often now do you have a movie that you've seen and you actually want to suggest it to somebody? Not just like, you bored? Okay, well, this one's not bad. Go ahead and watch that one. Yeah. It's like I want to write movies where you want to grab the collar of your friend and say, sit down, watch this with me right now.
I do. I feel like in my life there haven't been that many movies that do that, though. Okay,
I'm exaggerating with the grabbing of the collar, but I think we can all remember. I think we've all experienced wanting to watch a movie that you've already seen with a friend who hasn't seen it before, because you are essentially vicariously reliving the sense of wonder and awe that the friend is now experiencing watching the movie.
Sure.
Because it's that good. Maybe the friend won't have the same appreciation, and that's fine. But it's once again, it's that vicarious nature of, if you experience this other person will probably experience it, and you're going to get kind of this watered down version of what you had before, but it's, it's that fix. Am I crazy, Brian?
No, I think you're right. I was trying to equate that to the movie that you just laid out. And I was thinking,
okay, well, that thing I just gave you is not complete. So you can't,
I don't really care about the hero is what I'm saying. I feel like I don't even know him or his name.
Frickin' guy.
What frickin'? Yes,
we're not reading the script. We're not reading the script, right? We're not reading a script, so I gotta tone it down.
Oh, right, exactly. Just put it in your.
Just put it in a script, and then I'll swear up a storm.
Why is this guy swearing to Brian? Who's Brian? What's that have to do with this? Oh,
why are they writing a movie? What kind of movie is this?
This is lame. I do not want to tell my friend afterwards to watch this. I do not want to watch this vicariously through him. Anyway.
That's why we don't have a lot of subscribers, Brian.
Sorry, man. It's my fault. I agree.
All right.
So, speaking of the next movie, I know you've had some general thoughts. Do you want to share anything on that right now, where you're at?
So, we talked previously about revisiting some finished works, and I still want to do that. I think making it season 2 is probably premature. I think it would be appropriate, or I think it would be pretty good for season 3 to revisit something I've already done, just to, make sure it's nothing needs to be updated or whatever, and then submit that to another screenplay competition. But for season 2, I want to essentially replicate the same kind of energy and passion that I had writing Epitaph in season 1. And the reason I had that is because I already had essentially like a semi-fleshed out outline of a complete movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, that really helped. I got to admit, that really helped me produce content consistently every week.
Right.
So I have another idea that, I have talked to you about previously, but I think this is the script that we, can replicate the same energy and momentum as season 1.
Okay.
And it's going to be about superheroes. Brian?
Yes, I know this, but I don't think our viewers know.
So here's the question. Should we talk about it now, or should we just wait until I write up the outline and,
I think we can have a general, you just kind of talked about this other idea for a few minutes. If you just give some context to what you're thinking about, I think that'd be good.
So I wanted to create a movie that was more realistic, I guess, or darker, or more along the lines of like an indie movie, where it's not necessarily meant to be like fun, if that makes sense. Like it'll be fun because it's the nature of superheroes. Like, wow, yeah, of course, this guy's really strong. He's going to do strong things in like, ironic ways, let's say. So in that sense, it's fun. But I wanted it to be like, what would a normal human being do with this superpower? I guess that's in line with, the Psychopirate story I just told, right?
Yeah.
So if we think of like a dark Incredibles, the Disney Pixar franchise, The Incredibles. These people, the characters in The Incredibles, they're pretty normal, right? And they're a normal family essentially, like with superpowers. And so I want to have a similar concept, but of course it's going to be darker and even more mundane, I guess. So the concept is that in the 40s of the planet Earth, so it's still in reality, there was an alien invasion. So we're no longer in reality. See how fast that was? Alien invasion. And maybe this even subverts World War II from happening.
Okay.
Right? I don't know yet. I wanted this to be United States centric. So I don't know if I want to even involve all of that. That complicates things. Like, are there superheroes in Europe in this universe? I don't know. In any event, so aliens invade the planet and they're beaten somehow. Maybe instead of using the atom bomb on the Nazis and Japan, or rather just Japan, but building it for World War II is what I'm saying. They use the atom bomb to defeat the alien mothership. And the mothership, it releases like energy and technology that crashes across the eastern seaboard of the United States. So, roughly the New York area. I don't know why. I'll have to write that in, but that's where the war happens, okay?
Right, okay.
And so people in that area, they start developing superpowers. And so that's why we have comic books, is because the comic books are actually stories about people who exist. Right? And so we flash forward to current day, or present day, And now it's just a way of life, or a common occurrence that people have superpowers. So we have, movers. Maybe they're not all the Hulk. Okay, maybe they just have increased strength. So a guy who looks like me, I've created a moving company, a one-man moving company, and I'm moving a piano by myself or whatever, right? And maybe the non-superhero people who have moving companies, they get upset, like, that's not fair or whatever. And then, of course, you got to have, like, government regulation, like, we want to show a progression throughout the decades of, like, people who acted like comic book heroes, stopping crime and all of that, but then the government having to step in because it's like, okay, well, you're also causing a lot of damage. I mean, all of that's going to have to be like an opening montage of like 5 minutes.
That's what I was thinking. I just wrote montage. I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Is that's going to really kind of lay out the world that developed for the last 60, 70 years?
Totally.
Because this is going to take place kind of in present day, right?
Totally, yeah.
Okay, so 70, 80 years ago, actually.
Right.
Very quickly. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm all about montage, bro.
Yeah, I was wondering, is this going to be like your first... Have you had a voiceover in a previous script? Because I don't remember reading one.
Nope.
Like a narrator. Because you're going to need someone telling us what's happening, right? Unless it's all on screen.
Well, it could, I could do the whole, like, news archives or whatever.
Through the years, yeah.
And then, that would be awesome, right? Like, starts off with, like, old reel, and it's all 4x3.
Right.
In New York today, there was... Exactly, yes. And then it moves on to, like, that PALS NTSC or whatever, that old, like, 70s footages of news,
Sure.
Yeah.
It's been 3 times copied on VHS.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And then we get to YouTube and all of that.
Sure. Yeah, right, exactly.
So then we get to the main character, and I don't know what his name is, but I did want him to be a black guy, right? And I wanted to actually go like, I was thinking like super African ethnic name, like I used to be a trainer for 411 information. So a little brief history about me, everybody. Before there was Verizon. What's that?
I was taking you back to the ticker tape.
Oh. There was AirTouch Cellular.
Oh, AirTouch.
AirTouch. And...
Sounds like an 80s band, Air Supply.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
The lesser-known European version. Oh, wait. Look. Air Supply, they were British, weren't they?
They were bad.
They're good.
Yeah.
They're good, Brian.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Making love out of nothing at all.
Episode 33, Epitaph and Air Supply.
All right. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Yes. So I was a trainer. So AirTouch, so cell phones did not have their own 411. And I don't even know if 411 even exists anymore now that we have like internet on our phones and you can just Google everything, right?
Right.
So I guess I need to even explain what 411 is. So before the internet, you have to call.
It's like a guy sitting there. This guy's sitting there like, come on, man. This sucks. Someone call. He's got like phone books everywhere.
Yeah. Phone books. You even know what phone books are, people? I'm old.
On trees.
We're all old. Or Brian and I are old, I mean. Anyway, so this company I worked for, they were a startup for AirTouch Cellular, and they provided 411. And so people called us and said, give me Taco Bell on Main Street in Boston, Massachusetts, blah, 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 cross street, whatever. We'd look it up, we'd connect them, and then there you go. That was our lives.
Hey, before you go to your actual point, because you mentioned Boston, I think there's a subculture in Boston that's very Irish. Did you ever get any Irish calls? Sure.
No, Brian, I did not. Amazingly enough. Anyway, so I was there long enough that I became a trainer, and one of the the students I got, or employees who needed to be trained. I don't know, I'm elevating to student. His name was Ona. I don't remember his last name, but I just thought that is like a cool name. He was this
ONA?
Yeah, this big black dude, right?
Yeah,
and I'm just like, that's a strong name for a strong dude. I love it. And I always wanted to use that name for a character in something I wrote.
Right. That's a cool name.
It's such a cool name. Anyway, so I might name this character Ona. That's the whole point of telling this story. But to put a button on my work history, my boss was always on my case about not wearing a tie as a trainer, because he wore a tie all the time. Mm-hmm. And my relationship with the company was deteriorating because I didn't like how they were. What's that?
Ties.
Well, there's that. I'm not a tie guy, but they were also, in order to get call center numbers down, to get hold times down, essentially, they were going into my training room and basically forcing my trainees to take calls prematurely. So it was like a 3 week course of learning how to do the job. They were coming in like the third day and saying, we need your guys to take calls. So I was like, so forget the quality. You're just like connecting them to whatever you could, you don't even know how to use a system. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, so I ended up writing like a letter complaining about this and saying this is not right. It's it's not good service, and we're doing a disservice to our employees. Blah blah blah. So the call center manager, he basically said, "Okay, we're going to demote you because I didn't appreciate you writing this email to me."
Wow.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Okay, well, can I finish my class?" Because I was in the middle of training a class, right? And he said, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll be your last class, though."
Yeah, it's a 3-day class.
So that night, I went to my friend's house, the Mormon, actually. Brian?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Mormon.
And, we went to an all-night Kmart. We bought a lot of female clothing and makeup. And I came to work the next day in drag.
Wow.
There's your dress code. There's your tie.
Wow. This is a stunning revelation. I've never heard this story.
Oh, yeah. And so I didn't want to be stopped at the front, right? So I went to the back, snuck around to the back to sneak in so I could get full exposure to the call center. Unfortunately, the managers were all having a meeting in this back room. So I walk in, I'm like, "Hi." And they all stop and they're like, they'll look, like, WTF on their faces, right?
Sure.
And I just go into the call center room and I'm just running around. People are standing up like, "What the hell?" And you see like, it's like the wait time, just like, because we had a ticker, right? It's just like, because no one's taking calls now. And they start chasing me around the call center. "We're going to call the police. We're going to call the police."
For doing what?
I don't know. I was
dress code.
Exactly. Yeah, because
were you in heels?
Of course.
Oh,
and I had the fake bosom. I had like full on drag.
So when you quit, it's an interesting operation. You go all out.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But then I did the Jerry Maguire thing, even though Jerry Maguire hadn't come out yet. Who's coming with me?
Did you really?
No.
That'd be funny.
So they threatened to call the police, and then I left, and then they fired me the next day.
Oh, you didn't? I thought that was you quitting.
No, I was not quitting. I just wanted to, create a ruckus.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And is this a company that you used for referral at some point?
No, of course not. Of course not.
You remember me?
Yeah.
It's not ringing a bell. The guy who dressed up as come on. Oh no. No, we're not recommending you at all. In fact, give me the new employer's number.
Right. Exactly.
I will strongly recommend against.
Yeah. Wow. Some people were like, René should sue because they're firing him because of his lifestyle.
Yeah, dude. If this was now,
I know
it would have played out so differently.
Exactly.
They would just look at you like, I don't know what to do, and probably just look down, look away.
Totally. Absolutely.
Hey, dude, we're gonna promote you. I don't know what to do at this point.
Yep.
Wow, man. Okay. Ona.
Ona.
Got it.
So, Ona, we'll just call him Ona for the purposes of this story. He, a regular guy, working a job he doesn't like, for an employer he doesn't like, discovers that he's developing superpowers, doesn't know to what extent, he doesn't know what to do, because he also knows, like, hey, if the government catches wind, he's going to have to jump through some hoops, be scrutinized, have to get some kind of license, all this other stuff. I don't know yet.
So let me interrupt for a second. So are there like screenings that take place annually or something like that?
No idea.
Are you thinking like that these develop at different times in different people, or is it hereditary?
I don't know.
All right. It's early.
It's super early.
Gotcha.
I hadn't fleshed it all out. I mean, all of those questions are valid, right? Like, if this happened in the 40s, why am I localizing it to New York? Because these people would obviously have traveled the world, right?
Yeah.
There would have been multiple generations.
I mean, unless they had like settlements, that the government controlled, and it was somewhat territorial.
Yeah, but then we lose the whole, hey, they're regular people walking around serving you at Starbucks. So if we look at my Dragon movie, right, which is essentially present-day fantasy, I wanted this to be similar, right, where the people with augmented abilities, they're just like you and me, but they are using their augmented abilities in a creative way that is not, I don't know, obtrusive in the way that like a Thor is or a Hulk is.
That's all they are.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, except for being a scientist and king guy.
I know. Anyway, well, I don't want to get into the weeds here, but basically our hero, he contacts, there's like one licensed or rather sanctioned superhero for America, and he's going to be, like a Captain America type, Captain America / Superman amalgam, and our hero will like see him flying around, and our guy can sort of fly, and so maybe not that, maybe he can jump like Superman could only jump, right? And before he learned how to fly, and he'll tackle Sergeant US or whatever his name is, right? And then the sanctioned hero will say, hey, what are you doing? The government's going to crack down on you if you're being too flamboyant with your powers or whatever. And so he hooks him up with this kind of like secret superhero, like low-level superhero group, right? Led by a priest, we'll call him Father, who, helps them develop their powers and control them so that they aren't a danger to anybody. And you know what I mean? Kind of like an Xavier.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the point of all of this, right? Is it just a prototypical superhero movie origin story and, they fight, this growing menace? No, it's more about it's more of a philosophical story. How do you use this power within a society where the majority of people do not have the same power? And so basically this priest, Father, his philosophy is that they shouldn't use their power to change society, essentially. That when you help people, you are preventing them from helping themselves. And so he's trying to train Ona, like when they go out on patrol, like, hey, if these people can solve their own problem, let them solve their own problem. Otherwise, they're just going to keep relying on you. But Ona, because because of his history, which I don't know what that is yet exactly, he feels like, well, I should use this power to help people. And so he keeps trying to interfere in other people's lives.
Yeah.
When maybe that's not necessarily the right thing to do. And as the movie continues, and when we get to the end of the movie, we see that the things that he did actually have negative repercussions that he couldn't he couldn't necessarily foresee. Now, I don't know if, as a writer, that I necessarily agree with what Father is espousing in this movie. I just think it's an interesting tact that we don't see in superhero movies specifically, but in, do-gooder movies in general. There we are, Brian. That's the high level. I could have gotten into more detail, but we'd be talking forever, and I know how exhausting it is just to listen to somebody. So there we are.
I mean, I think I think we talked about this a while ago.
Yeah.
So it's brought back all those memories, and I really do think that's a cool idea. I'm trying to think of movies that had superheroes that were living and in this type of situation, and I mean, we have some current movies where like or not movies, but like TV shows like The Boys, where there's something there, and it's revealed a little bit more as to what it is, which doesn't sound like it's going to be the same type of way they get their powers in yours, because there's an event that takes place in yours that doesn't take place in the Boys, and I mean it's it's a totally different type of movie or type of show to me. When you were initially talking about kind of like the guy living in the regular world, and he's just a guy, how would he deal with his powers, for one thing. I was thinking back to one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Unbreakable, and I hold that really high, in terms of esteem for just a well-crafted movie. Super interesting, but at the end of the day, it was an origin story,
totally.
What I mean? So that he is out and he's with other and with other superheroes, and he's there's a philosophical difference. I think that's really interesting. I don't think I've seen that before. So I think that the makeup for this is interesting. I think the audience for this would be kind of built in, because as much as I like Marvel movies and not so much DC movies, but I like the Marvel movies, there's a time when you need something to kind of cleanse the palate.
Right.
That's why I think The Boys was so successful. That's why I think that Joker is so successful, because people are so sick of kind of the same thing. Those things, they always feel the same, and you go to them because it's comfort food.
Right.
But I like the idea of a totally different take on it. There was was it Brightburn? Was that the one that that came out? Did you end up seeing that?
I have not yet. I will.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm trying to remember the origin of that. Oh, I remember the origin now. That's basically just a different take on a Superman tale.
Yeah. It's meant to, they're exploring, what was it? Comic book horror or something like that. Yeah. I was like, okay, that is an interesting new genre. I think every monster movie horror is essentially a comic book horror. I mean, it's a creature with superpowers, Yeah.
But that was a movie that I was truly excited about when I saw the trailer.
But it didn't live up, I think.
No.
I remember you telling me.
No, not at all. The trailer was great, and other than that, it was not that great. Yeah. Kind of predictable, and not that didn't have much to say. And I don't mind a small story. Obviously,
sure.
We've talked about that, but you should still say something.
Yeah.
There should be some point to this, and it was. It ended up just being. It felt like it was done as like or not intellectual, but it was just like this will get people interested. Rather than telling a good story, I'm just going to do something that I know is going to probably sell. It's kind of like what we were talking about with season 2. Which way should we go? That would be a way that's going to get sold. You could probably take your idea and get it sold too if you pandered. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's a way to do that, and there's a way to write the movie that you want to write. And maybe the two can meet, but I think this other one, it felt way too.
Well, look,
it felt corporate.
From the I get press stuff, right, and they'll show they'll give me clips of the movie, right, and when I saw one of the clips was like this woman pulling out a piece of glass from her eye, right, and I thought, wow, this clip is this moment is very it's very hyper focalized on this moment, right? Like the it's not really that gory, but essentially the gore of like, oh god, she's got to pull this thing out of her eye, and they're really like, the audience needs to feel this.
Yeah.
At that point, I felt like, okay, this movie is it's more focusing on the well, I can't remember, the primitive horror, rather than like a higher like, or a broader story. And I don't know if that's the case. I just felt like, because the scene is so extended with just like this whole thing, could the rest of the movie be very similar, where we just see people being, put in these like uncomfortable situations.
Yes.
In which case it's like, okay, well, that's just a regular horror movie then.
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay. Well,
but it's like, it's a regular horror movie with a guy you can't beat.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the worst.
Yeah. So like, what's the point then? I mean, it's like, this isn't even, you have to be able to take on the villain. Precisely.
I hate horror movies where there's no fighting back.
Right.
Then it's just like an exercise in endurance. Like, okay, let's get to the end of the movie. Everyone's dead. Okay. Or at best, they've somehow prolonged their life. But, in the sequel, he's still around, ready to chop people up or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In the sequel, Victim 2. It's terrible.
Okay, Brian, well, let me just say this. The superhero movie I just talked about, I feel could be appropriate for season 2 for all of the reasons I set up in the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
However, I do have another story that I would feels equally fleshed out in my mind. Actually, it's a lot less, but I feel like the momentum could still be there, because it's like, it's a story I keep coming back to. Do you want to hear the quick
Absolutely.
10-minute? Okay, so it's a sci-fi movie. It's set in the future after some kind of like world war, like it's post-apocalyptic, but post-apocalyptic, meaning we had the apocalypse because of this world war.
Yeah.
And then we had the surviving it, but now this is the society that came after.
It's rebuilt.
Yeah, exactly. So we're way into the future on Earth.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no atmosphere, and so we have these things called dust stacks, and they are essentially pumping out a fake atmosphere in all of the more populous cities.
Okay.
Right, where humanity is able to live as they reconquer the rest of the planet. None of that is really important. I'm just kind of like, that's just an idea I had that I like that, where instead if the sky being blue, it's purple because of the light passing through this fake atmosphere from the dust stacks, and like everything is like covered in this like dust, right? I just think, oh, that's kind of cool, kind of gritty. Anyway, so everyone's names are all like words from the dictionary. Okay. Mainly because I liked the idea that, a lot of Western names are from the Bible, right? From a book. Mm-hmm. And what books survived after the apocalypse? We'll say that for whatever reason, it was a dictionary. And so the humanity after, once civilization rebuilt itself, that was where they were getting their names from, right?
Okay.
And we don't understand, it's not clear, at least in the beginning of the movie, why there was the war. And what we discover, well, our hero, tentatively named Rage, right? Dude, I came up with this idea when I was like in my early 20s, bro. So, it's like, it's all very like a little too
on the nose.
20-year-old-ish. Like, yeah, man, his name is Rage.
His best friend is Presumptuous.
Presumptuous. Anyway, he's, this kind of like a homeless kid, like a street urchin, right? And he and his buddy, I don't know what his name is, but, they just try to get work wherever they can. And it's all, it's like it's not that great what his life is. And they discover that there is this company or whatever, or maybe a government regulation that everyone needs to, submit their DNA, for cataloging for whatever reason. I don't have to come up with that idea. And he hasn't done it yet, nor has his friends. Maybe they're inherently distrustful of the government. I don't know. And it turns out that a portion of humanity actually lives on the moon. Right? And the people on the moon, they all have regular names like you and I. Mm-hmm. Right? And so what they're trying to do is, or the history of this universe is that there was an alien invasion and humans were losing the battle. And so they nuked the planet, right, to kill all of the aliens.
Okay.
And they knew, though, that the aliens were going to come back. And so what they did is they built, or they, did some experimentation. They found some alien DNA, and they were trying to build a hybrid human-alien race, right? And they were successful, but the one successful experiment, or the one success, which is our hero, for whatever reason, maybe the shuttle crashed, like they were going to have him do some tests on Earth or something, see if he could survive without the atmosphere. Who knows? Who knows what the reason is? That is our hero. And he wakes up, he's discovered by these other street urchins, and he's just one of them now, and he's been that way for a while. And so that's why the government is DNA testing everybody to see if they can find him. Does this make sense, Brian?
You lost me a little bit about, like, the shuttle and...
Okay, so on the moon
ties into Rage. I thought Rage was our guy.
He is the guy.
He is the guy.
So on the moon, the humans with our names, with regular names, these are like the elite and like military and stuff like that.
Sure.
In order to prepare for the next alien invasion, who knows how many centuries into the future, they have been working on combining alien DNA with human DNA. And they've had a lot of failed experiments. So think like Alien 4 or Aliens 4. Well, the like messed up Sigourney Weavers.
Yeah.
Remember that? It's
a
Joss Whedon movie, Brian.
Joss Whedon wrote it.
I know.
Yeah.
So
he didn't do anything else. He didn't direct it.
I understand. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And it's not good.
Well. Anyway. So they had one successful combination. And that's our guy, Rage. Right? And then...
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess where I was getting confused is because you said everyone on Earth was given these names out of the dictionary. Everyone else up there was... But he doesn't...
So his real name is Jeremy.
Okay.
All right. He's on this ship. It crashes when it's on its way down to Earth. He has no memory. Right?
Oh, okay.
I guess I should have said that. And so he becomes a street urchin with the others. But he... has like essentially alien DNA, and it will manifest throughout the movie.
So is this a horror movie?
No, it's action sci-fi.
So I mean, do you have any idea? That sounds like it's all set up. I'm just curious where you think the movie's going to go.
All right, so the aliens that invaded Earth, they were chasing another alien race that was also on Earth, that humans didn't know were on Earth.
Okay.
Now, these aliens, I'm going to call them the Skinnies, and that's taken from another movie, I can't remember. But anyway, so the Skinnies are the ones that we normally are popular on Earth right now. The ones with the big eyes, and they're small or whatever. But these, that's going to be like the way we understand them or understand them now in popular culture, that's kind of like an exaggeration of what they look like. They're really just like skinny human beings with larger eyes and no hair. Okay. All right. And their ability is they can actually wear the skin of human beings. Right? Like, if they kill somebody, they can rip off the skin and then wear it like a suit. Okay. Does this make sense?
Sure. They're the Skinnies.
That's what I mean.
Not just skinny, but they're skinny.
Exactly. Bingo. See, I'm loving it already, Brian. Anyway, so they were hiding from the evil alien race, right, that were chasing them. That's why the aliens came to invade Earth. and I was gonna have like, okay, they, I don't even know how to tell this story anymore, but basically, there's like a lead skinny who is also trying to find Rage, because I don't know why exactly yet, but they need to meet up, and basically lead skinny needs to tell Rage about like the history and why the aliens invaded in the first place, and why they were running from these aliens in the first place as well, and how like Jesus was actually an alien, like he was like the first skinny, right, that came down to Earth. And like, you know, let's say they have some like telekinetic powers or whatever. I know it's kind of blasphemous, but I just thought, hey, this is kind of a neat idea. You know, that would explain why like these things that happen in the Bible happened, is because it's actually this alien wearing, you know, a skin suit.
Right.
All right. So something happens. They get captured, and you know it's Rage and some of his friends, and then you know lead skinny is also there for whatever reason, but they get sent to the moon. So the government captures Rage, and they say, "Oh, okay, we can continue our cloning process so that we can create more Rages and create an army to fight the aliens when they come back." Right?
Rangers.
Exactly. Why not? Now, I don't know what exactly happens here, but they need to escape the moon base, and maybe there's another planet that's colonized by humans, like maybe it's Mars, and we just didn't, you know, people on Earth didn't know about it. And that'll be that'll be in the sequel. So, a lot of this has a lot of gaps. I get it.
No, I get it.
What?
I understand what you're saying. No, I mean,
okay.
I get the world, and I get the general idea. So
here's the iconic scene that all of this is essentially based on. On the moon base. So there is a couple of things I need to set up really quickly. There is a woman who is paralyzed from the waist down, and she is like a military engineer, and so she is designing the new soldier suits for the army. Go ahead and yawn, Brian. It's fine. Don't stifle it. Let it go.
Done.
Let it go. Just yawn away. Tell me how interesting the story is.
Iconic.
And so, okay, you know what? I'm not even going to set all of that up. I'm going to just tell you about the one scene so we can end this, so I can put you out of your misery. There is a room that powers the moon base.
Yeah.
And when Rage is like taken to tour, because he's kind of like, you know, he's not necessarily seen as like a threat, right? We'll say the lead maintenance guy like walks him through. It's like, yeah, and this is the room with all the machinery, and I call it the rhythm room, right? And because all the different machines and computers and stuff, they make, you know, rhythmic noises per the machine. And it's like, yeah, depending on where you stand, it's almost like music, right? And then maybe we place the camera in different places, right? So next to this one big machine that's like slow, like a bass drum, boom, boom, boom. And then there's another one that's like higher pitched, almost like a violin, right? So that's the setup when they're at the moon base, in the beginning of when they're at the moon base. In the finale, when Rage has to fight the main military villain, who's in this like, you know, super soldier suit. Right. The fight is in the rhythm room. And wherever they are, it's like making different music, right?
Sure.
And that is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Instead of a soundtrack.
Yeah.
You know? And then, of course, Rage has to win, and, you know, he'll throw the military guy into like the main control thing, and then everything just shuts down.
Right.
So
all
anyway,
the gears stop.
What's that?
All the gears grind to a halt.
Of course,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, oh God. So I'm like, I want to see that, and I think it's awesome. And so now I'm just like creating this crappy movie just to get there, just to get to that thing.
Wow. Well, that's the first I've heard of that one.
I know. It has a lot of charm. Like in the details have charm. I don't know about the story yet, and so I know it's like it's not something interesting to listen to.
It's not that it's not something interesting to listen. Do you want me to give a little feedback
Please.
on the two?
Absolutely.
So I'll start by giving my opening paragraph, which is that I prefer the first movie, whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah, it's more grounded.
Yeah, I mean, grounded's an interesting word because as much as he's going to be living a different life than anyone here, I think he's going to be going through emotions and that people can relate to, and you want to relate to the new hero, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it feels like more emotional, more connected,
Totally.
a little bit more introspective. This guy's going to be struggling, and you've set up a lot of similarities, I think, with the two movies, which is interesting. You've got an alien, an alien event. You've got government regulation as kind of an inherent bad thing, So us versus the man or them, which I think is interesting. But I feel like the other movie, the one with all of the Earth and Moon and stuff like that, it feels like an interesting action film,
Yes.
Which is fine, but it's just, I would say personally, it doesn't interest me as much as the material. It just feels it's much richer in the other movie because you're going to dig into psyche, and there's actually going to that idea of the philosophy. I think that's not going to be something that's thrown in. I mean, that's going to be something that's essential.
Yeah.
In that movie. And so when you have that, you're going to have this dichotomy between what he's going through and what father's going, espousing, as you said. And I think that's just really interesting because neither of them are bad guys, or they're not opponents, but they're not aligned. And to me, I always like that when there's a friction there, but you can see both ways. And I just felt like there's a richness of character that's like immediately I was just like, that pops to me. I can definitely see a movie easily, an hour and a half to 2 hour movie, totally holding my attention and being interesting and actually exciting me more than Westerns and zombies, because that's not my thing. This is way more, in my wheelhouse, where I'm just like, yeah, that's the movie I want to see. This other one just sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just telling you personally, as your contributor or your
it'll be a slog for you.
That's going to be a tough one. It felt it felt kind of like almost like a serial when I was listening to you talk.
Well, honestly, it was meant to be a book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was writing it as a book.
Okay.
That's why I have all these little details.
Sure.
But I don't have the story fleshed out.
Yeah, I get that. I will say, though, if you want to go way off, and write just the Jesus alien story, that'd be really fun. That's a movie I'd like to watch, too.
Yeah.
Because that's the one where it's like, that's really interesting. What could you do with that? And just you're basically rewriting the events, from that perspective. But I don't know what the overall story would be. I don't know what the point of it would be.
Exactly. All right. Well, there we are, Brian.
So one vote for Ona.
Yeah. Well,
and
how's this?
One vote against Jesus.
I am also leaning towards the superhero thing. Yeah. Only because that's where my mind was up until the last 15 minutes. So,
right.
So let's say let's say that's going to be the plan, unless someone watching can convince me otherwise from my horrible pitch of my other story that is more inchoate than the other inchoate.
It's a kernel
story. It's a
kernel.
kernel
of a story. It's not a story yet. The other one's more fleshed out. I mean, you've given more thought to it recently, in the last few decades.
Yeah. All right. Well, then that's it for me, Brian. Do you have anything else to say?
No, man. Do you want to give a preview next week? Are we going to try and have a summary, or what's the plan for a decision and a summary?
Just as we did how we did Epitaph, I'll have something that's just written in a Word doc, paragraph form, essentially, of loose ideas, a loose plot, and then we'll go from there.
Sweet, man.
Give me your feedback along the way, and hopefully this will be hopefully this will get me to semi-finals, just like Epitaph did,
or grand finals.
Well, yeah, ideally I'd like to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know what, another great way to end the week. I really wasn't expecting I was every week I'm expecting to lose.
Right.
Like, and I'm not just saying that just to kind of like, I don't know, soften disappointment, like soften the psychological pain of losing. I just really think that is, it just makes sense, right? The odds are way against me. Yeah. So it's always a delight to win or to make the next level. I don't think I'm going to be a finalist. I really don't.
I guess we'll find out.
2 weeks.
But we will not find out next week.
Right.
Next week is just going to be a regular show. Next week we're going to be laser focused on the new project.
But if I do make it to finals, Brian,
yeah,
I'm going to not be able to concentrate on anything else.
Well, then we'll just we'll do
we'll just emote
a season one addendum. We'll talk about that for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are those next steps? But we'll cross that bridge if we can.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and subscribe. You can also find us on Twitter. I barely update it, but whatever. You can still follow us there at Let's Write This or at Write This Movie. We're also on. We also have a website, let'swritethismovie.com. I don't know if I'm going to update that either, but I will have to soon.
Yeah.
So
very
damn
soon.
It. Find us there.
Days from now.
Find us there, everybody.
Less than a week.
Damn it. More work.
More product. It'll be good. More content.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.
Okay. That was fun, Brian.